Of all the Infinity Engine titles, Planescape Torment always had a special place in my heart. And the reason for that might be pretty simple. It approached the idea of a story-driven RPG unlike any Western RPG title before it, at least not that I know of. It wasn't afraid to cut down on location size, on the number of maps you explore, it wasn't really about tactical combat or min-maxing stats. To be fair, it played far more like a point-and-click adventure with huge emphasis on the story and dialogues, except produced on an engine made for RPGs. And 20 years later, it's no worse for wear, with the Enhanced Edition just making the whole experience even more enjoyable.
I shall wait for you in Death's halls, my love.
Everything about the world, about the story, about the little encounters and quests and themes of the game is just as awe-inspiring as it was when the game was new. Its wonderful setup immediately hooks you on the story and gently eases you into the bizarre city of Sigil and other planes that you get to visit in a quest to understand who the main character is and why is that he cannot die. You get just the right amount of events on every map, of companions that you can learn more about, and despite leaning so heavily into dialogues and specific attributes, it allows you to enjoy its storyline no matter how you play. It borrows the best ideas from the story-heavy JRPG classics and turns them into something unique, something of its own. Mark Morgan's soundtrack is a great fit for the often weird architecture and characters you see in your travels, and both are amazing at release, but Enhanced Edition improves them even further by simply cleaning them up and rendering visuals at higher resolutions. Voice acting is also some of the best from that era and is extremely memorable despite its sporadic usage. The game just flows so naturally compared to some of the other examples from that era, and even since then. The stories are often complex, yet feel so easy to comprehend, the pace of the exploration and quest is just right, and the overall length of the game is perfect, even with all the incredible amount of things that are really well developed despite being completely optional. The game does feel a bit more rigid and annoying to play at times, showing its age, and the fact that its ambitions and fantastic ideas were forced into an engine that couldn't really handle them as well as the developers intended. And D&D rules that have been bent in this game on countless occasions still sometimes pop up as more of a crutch than the original intent, even if this never gets too annoying. It's also a bit of a concern that your typical more balanced or especially combat-oriented distribution of attributes will have a slightly less exciting run through the story, with the game leaning a bit too heavily into wisdom, intelligence and charisma instead. You won't miss any of the key story bits, but lots of optional facts about the mystery of the Nameless One can only be learned if you focus a bit more on those attributes specifically. And the combat-focused characters don't get any proper rewards, so to speak. Talking is almost always the best option. Which is probably the main bad thing of the original release. Combat in this game is pretty unexciting and often annoying. It can look incredible, especially when using magic spells, but whenever you are in an area which requires combat, of which there are a couple, it's a slog, even if your character is good at fighting. Luckily, this is rarely required. And Enhanced Edition, for all its wonderful improvements, is currently occasionally unstable. It's not terrible, but can become a bit annoying at times. Despite that, this edition is the best way to re-experience Planescape Torment or play it for the first time. And if you haven't played it yet and you like good stories and amazing and strange worlds, you're seriously missing out. There aren't that many games that manage to stay as exciting and fresh and inspiring decades later as when they were new, but Planescape Torment is one of those rare ones.
What can change the nature of a man?